Denise scribbled furiously. Numbers danced on the page. She muttered to herself, "Why won't you work, you pesky equation?" Denise loved math. She loved the challenge, the logic, the way it all fit together. But this was a real head-scratcher.
Hours flew by. The sun began to set, casting long shadows across her cluttered desk. Suddenly, her phone buzzed. A meeting. How could she have forgotten?
"Oh no, not again!" Denise cried, scrambling for her bag. She was always late. Her brain, so focused on numbers, often forgot about the real world. She raced out the door, muttering apologies to her phone.
The traffic was terrible. Denise tapped her foot impatiently, her mind still on the unsolved equation. She glanced at her phone again, calculating the time. Hopeless. She was going to miss the entire meeting.
Meanwhile, across town, a team of scientists huddled in a high-tech lab. Red lights flashed, alarms blared. "The system's malfunctioning," one scientist shouted. "It's not accepting the codes."
The fate of the world, quite literally, hung in the balance. This was no ordinary system. This was the Earth defense system designed to protect the planet from rogue asteroids, and it was failing.
Section 4. Phony calculations. Stuck in traffic, I pulled out my notebook again. The endless sea of cars around me was maddening, but I had to keep my mind occupied. I had to at least try to solve this equation. It was a puzzle that had been gnawing at me for days, and I couldn't let it go.
Denise scribbled numbers, erased furiously, and scribbled some more. Her frustration was palpable, each stroke of the pen a testament to her determination. Unknowingly, she was writing in the margins of a discarded meeting agenda. An agenda with the access codes for the Earth defense system printed on it. The codes were hidden in plain sight, but she was too engrossed in her calculations to notice.
Come on, I muttered to myself, willing the numbers to make sense. The pressure was mounting, and I could feel the weight of the world on my shoulders.
She punched a series of numbers into her calculator app, convinced they held the key to her math problem. Her fingers moved with a sense of urgency, each tap echoing her desperation. But these were no ordinary numbers. They were a complex sequence, a code that seemed to defy logic and reason. These were the codes, the missing codes, needed to reboot the Earth defense system. The realization hit her like a bolt of lightning. She held the key to saving the world in her hands.
At that exact moment, across town, the head scientist stared at his screen in disbelief. His eyes widened as he tried to comprehend what he was seeing. The data on the screen was unlike anything he had ever encountered before. "The codes! They're working!" he exclaimed. The impossible had become possible. The lines of code that had baffled them for weeks were now functioning perfectly.
The alarms ceased. The red lights turned green. The tension that had gripped the lab for days began to dissipate. The Earth defense system was back online. The once chaotic control room now hummed with a sense of calm and order.
The scientists in the lab erupted in cheers, relief evident on their faces. They had been working tirelessly, and now their efforts had paid off. The screen now displayed a message system online. No one could explain it. The mystery of who had input the codes lingered in the air. Who had input the codes? How? The questions swirled in their minds, but answers were elusive.
The answer, oblivious to it all, was stuck in traffic, finally breaking through the barriers of her mathematical puzzle. Denise, the brilliant yet unassuming mathematician, had unknowingly saved the day.
Denise smiled, a rare and beautiful sight. She had no idea of the impact her work had just made. Her mind was still lost in the world of numbers and equations, unaware of the lives she had touched.
Section 6. Celebrated by confusion. The next day, I found myself ushered into a room full of important-looking people. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation, and I could feel the weight of their gazes on me as I walked in. They shook my hand, congratulated me, hailed me as a hero. It was surreal, like I had stepped into someone else's life. The applause was deafening, and I couldn't help but feel a mix of pride and bewilderment.
Denise was confused. She had no idea what she had done to deserve such accolades.
Hero? What do you mean? I asked, my voice barely audible over the clamor.
It was then they explained about the Earth defense system, the missing codes, the coincidental timing of her calculations. They showed charts, graphs, and data that all pointed to one thing. Her work had inadvertently filled a critical gap. Denise listened, her mouth agape. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. It was like a plot twist in a movie, only this was real life. She had saved the world by accident. The realization hit her like a ton of bricks, all because of a math problem. It seemed too incredible to be true.
I might be bad with time, but I'm definitely good with numbers, I said, trying to lighten the mood. The room erupted in laughter, breaking the tension. Even if those numbers accidentally saved the world. It was a moment of clarity amidst the chaos, a reminder that sometimes, the most unexpected events can lead to the most extraordinary outcomes.